course, after you pack the balloon up,
Yep.
then it's time to have your first flight ceremony for anyone, your initiation, your story,
Correct.
whatever you want to call that. And you were pointing out that you have all the elements to go through that story.
Yeah, after these folks get done on the West Mesa today, they're going to come back with their crews and they're going to celebrate, whether it's a first flight or they could just talk about flying in balloons. And yes, I definitely have all the elements here on the stage today, so we can go through that and I can show all the viewers at home just a quick ceremony where we're not going to do the balloons prayer because we didn't fly.
Well, and I was going to say, we only have like 6 minutes or 7 minutes left of the show.
Oh, I could knock it out real quick for you.
I know you can, but you're going to have to shorten it because I understand your story is usually about 20 minutes long.
No, I could do it really quick.
So I think we're going to show some of your elements, so we're going to need to flip a camera around as we continue to watch the balloons on the as Nick packs up out there, and these guys kind of work through some things here. So tell us the story that we tell at the end of balloon flights.
So back in 1783, over nearly 250 years ago, these two brothers, the Montgolfier brothers, they were paper makers for France, and they noticed that coming from a fire was stuff rising, and they thought it was a magical gas, and so they named it Montgolfier gas. Well, as they had their workers go at the end of each shift or night, they would go and throw away the rubbish, and the women back then wore big hoop skirts, and they would get close to the fire, and they would billow up just like a hot air balloon did, like we saw all 300 or 400 today do here in Albuquerque. And they wondered, can we capture that magical gas somehow?
And do something with it.
So they built this first balloon out of paper and buttons because they were paper makers for the King of France. And they put it over the fire, and it did exactly what we saw today. It expanded, and the balloon flew off into the French countryside. And they went, wow, this is great. Well, in my story, they loaded up their horses and their Ford F-150s, and they went after their balloon, right? So this is where the embellishment comes in.
That's okay. There's that embellishment.
Right.
Ford 150s back in 1783.
By the way,
think about that.
By the way, Big Al was with them too.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was with them. And by the time they got to the balloon, the peasants that were in the vineyards picking the grapes for the king's wine, they saw this thing come over, and if anybody's seen a campfire, it's really dark smoke, so it was billowing this black smoke out of the bottom. They thought it was a fire-breathing dragon.
Yes.
So they pitchforked it to death, and Big Al was really upset. He cried for days. The Montgolfiers came back, and they decided that they could build another one, but they knew that it could fly, but they didn't know if you could breathe in the air.
Yeah, what's up there? No one's ever been up there except birds.
They took 3 French farm animals, right? So I have to ask you this. We all know what they are if we're balloonists, but they are and I don't have a rooster, but I have 2 chickens right here.
Well, that would count as a rooster.
Okay, so I got a couple right here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We also have a duck.
Yep.
To all my friends out there, thanks for all the ducks. And a sheep.
Bah.
These are all French animals, so what does a French rooster sound like?
I don't know.
Le coq-a-doodle-doo.
Okay.
A French duck?
Affleck.
No. Le quack.
Le quack.
Come on now.
All right, go for it.
Le ba. So they threw them all in the basket, and they flew away. They went to the French countryside again.
A little flame there to put the heat, put the smoke in there.
Put the smoke, And they flew off the French countryside. This time, though, the Montgolfiers were smart. They took some of the king's vineyard, some champagne with them. Down the road, they noticed that the peasants were about ready to pitchfork it. They got to their basket where the animals were in. Unfortunately, we did have the first aviation accident.
Yeah, first time we put things in the basket, we had an accident.
Yeah, the sheep fell on the duck, and the duck broke the rooster's neck. And they had fried chicken that night at the Montgolfiers. Again, more embellishment. But before they could actually pitchfork this balloon, this fire-breathing dragon, the Montgolfiers, they served champagne. They said, we're from up the road. We're not aliens. We're not fire-breathing dragons. And they got the peasants drunk so they could pack up their, unfortunately, deceased chicken, but, they had their other farm animals went back. As word started to spread through Europe, everybody was very, very excited about it. They went to Germany. They were at that time, very into wanting to rule the world. So they weren't as interested, and they went down to Spain and Portugal, and they weren't as interested. But when they went across the English Channel, the English were like, well, you're doing this, but it's way too early for us. But they went to Ireland. And the Irish...
I think you skipped the first people, though.
Which would be?
Pilatre.
Pilatre de Rosier.
Yeah. You skipped those guys. You went from the animals to the.
Well, you said to shorten this up.
We got to get the pilot part in there.
Okay,
we got to get the people in there.
So Pilatre de Rosier was the first pilot, and that's where the word pilot comes from. Sorry, Wally, I know you're going to yell at me. But as it spread across the Irish, they decided, hey, wait a minute, you guys are out playing with fire, farm animals,
shortly after
drinking, shortly after sunup. And it's like 9 in the morning. We're all in. So the Irish did bring us the balloonist prayer, and we will bring that to you later at the end of Balloon Fiesta. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. And like I said, every pilot has a slightly different version of that. The facts, the best we can talk about, 1783, the 3 different animals that went up, the accident that happened, the idea that the first 2 people to fly, Pilatre de Rosier and the Marquis de Alandras. My part of that story is that they were originally going to send up some convicts.
Yes, that's
because
true.
They didn't know what was going on up there. Yeah, okay, the animals survived, but what about people? And then Pilatre and the Marquis said, hey, King, no. The first people to fly, if this is successful,
it's going to be us.
It's got to be somebody important versus not the criminals. So they went up. They had a great flight. The other interesting part of, I think, this whole story is basically intertwined with these different flights that you just talked about. Gas flights were doing the same thing. And so gas flights were basically a few days to a week or so, a month behind this entire process. So the entire ballooning sport being developed, both gas and hot air at the same time, in 1783, and we're still flying it that way today. Some technology improvements as well.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Thanks for sharing that story there, and like I said, we'll continue to tell more of those things. And the official program this year has an entire article about all the different variations of that story and kind of attempts to bring what's fact, what's fiction, what's totally made up, and how different people tell it. So
there you go.
Well, Mass Ascension on Flight of the Nations is in the books, our midweek Mass Ascension.
And a success, very successful.
And that officially puts us over the halfway mark. So we've got 2-a-days for the next 3 days, our special shapes tomorrow and Friday. And then on Saturday, we're back to a Mass Ascension with a glow in the evening and our farewell Mass Ascension on Sunday morning. Hope that you'll be with us for all of those shows. If you can't be here on the field, be sure and check us out on balloonfiestalive.com. And even if you are here on the field, when you get home, go ahead and take a watch at that point as well. So for Ted Mays, I'm Art Lloyd Jr. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow morning right here at the 52nd Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta powered by ExxonMobil. We call it Balloon Fiesta Live.
So long, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by ExxonMobil. Always in October and always in Albuquerque. This is the 52nd edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the world's premier ballooning event. Want more balloon action? Visit the archive of Balloon Fiesta Live broadcasts at balloonfiesta.com. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live. This program is a production of AIBF Inc.